20 times One Piece predicted the future. The One Piece world has to be one of the greatest ever created fictional worlds. Oda Eiichiro is nothing short of a literary genius, and you can tell by the amount of work he puts into the show. Oda literally spoon feeds us with details of more or less everything that is going to happen in the show or in a given arc. Most times, we are either just not paying attention, too caught up, or too simple-minded to notice what this master builder is playing at. Today, we are going to be looking again at the One Piece world to see if we can figure out 20 times Oda showed us what was going to happen in the future even if we didn't care to listen. And believe me, there are a lot more than just 20. But let's see if we can even make it a list of 20 foreshadows for the future done by Master Oda Eiichiro. Number 1, and my personal favorite, has to be where Shanks saves Luffy from the sea monster. If you're a One Piece fan, you know this scene. In just the 4th episode of the series, Luffy is in the water crying, and Shanks jumps in after him and gives the monster a cold stare that makes it swim away. Or was it just a stare? Over 100 episodes later, Luffy stops Deval's bowl amidst their fight. Only then does Oda explain that there is an ability called Haki. Just how far into the future was he looking from episode 4? In second place are the stories of Gody Usopp. See how I spelled it? It's because Usopp might actually be a secret member of the family of D. I'm kidding. But Usopp shows powerful observation haki with his ability to see into his own future. Heck, if Oda wrote himself into the story, he'd probably be Usopp. Maybe that's why Usopp is called a god, because he's the creator of the One Piece world, existing within his own creation. Once again, I'm kidding. Usopp predicts almost every major adventure the Straw Hats go on through his stories. From having thousands of followers, which was fulfilled in Dressrosa, to visiting a country of dwarves, still in Dressrosa, and of course lying about his bounty being that of Luffy, which at the time was 30 million berries. Interestingly, Usopp's first bounty turned out to be 30 million. Number 3 goes to the introduction of the arch-antagonist of the show, Blackbeard. Now, one thing Oda is known for is his mad-ass introduction of characters. In Blackbeard's case, he simply introduces him in a tavern where he and Luffy meet to eat. Only one thing can tip you off about who he's going to be. Any guesses? Yeah, Luffy and Blackbeard don't agree on anything. Their ideologies in the tavern are completely different. As they walk in opposite directions leaving the tavern, Oda foreshadows that they will walk 2 entirely different roads on the way to becoming Pirate King. Number 4, Kablodaman's visit to the Going Merry. Usopp wakes up one night and sees the Guardian shipwright working on the Going Merry. The popular meaning of this is that the ship is loved by and loves the crew. But Master Oda wouldn't be Oda if he didn't cook a little, right? The hidden meaning, the lore of the Kablodaman states that the Guardian shipwright only comes to repair ships when they will soon be permanently destroyed. Fast forward to the Marineford arc. Yep, Going Merry goes home. Number 5 is a nifty little detail that makes so much sense in retrospect. Ace is introduced as a commander in Whitebeard's ship, but before that, he was the captain of his own pirate crew. Now, does anyone know what the name of that pirate crew is? Spade Pirates. Now, when you read his name in full, it becomes Ace of the Spade Pirates. And just what does the Ace of Spades represent on the card deck? Death. Oda, you sly genius. In number 6, we have another character that, like Gody Usopp, knows how to create his future. Buggy D. Clown. Buggy is a pirate who has a knack for being in the right place at the right time. After learning about his being a member of the disbanded Roger Pirates, his fellow inmates began to treat him like he was a hotshot. Well, he is. But that's not the kicker. In the episode, Buggy himself begins to fantasize about being a warlord of the sea and eventually an emperor. Don't hold your breath, because after almost 1,000 episodes, guess who graduated to the position of one of the emperors of the sea? Buggy D. Clown. Number 7 goes to the Skypiea arc and Enel's mantra ability. If you just started watching or you skipped some arcs to get where you are, now would be a good time to go back and start watching again. Anyway, Enel had an ability to receive messages of what would happen in the future. It was this ability that made it difficult for himself and his priest to fight against. But what was really behind the mantra ability? Was it that some god was coming down to give them messages? No, it wasn't. It was simply a case of observation hockey being used before it was properly introduced to the series. Number 8. The Arlong Park Arc. Nami's backstory had a lot of us shedding tears for her, and her silent suffering. But that's not all the arc did for us. In that arc, we were introduced to some weird characters like Arlong. One thing that sticks out was the sun tattoo on his chest. At the time, this tattoo seemed like a useless detail until we run into Jembe, the former warlord of the sea and a new member of the Straw Hats crew. Seriously, how far ahead does Oda plan? Coming in number 9 is Mr. Prince Sanji Rensmoke. If you haven't gotten to this point in the anime, just pretend you didn't hear that surname. Sanji introduces himself in Alabasta as Mr. Prince, an alias which only makes sense now. Despite being introduced as a cook from East Blue, Sanji is the only member of the Straw Hats whose bounty reads "Wanted Alive." All of this goes to foreshadow just how important a character he truly is, as we only learn much later in Whole Cake Island. For number 10, we have Pudding Charlotte, Big Mom's daughter and Sanji's almost bride. Nothing would have prepared us for her betrayal of Sanji, or would anything have? Well, Oda did slip in some information from the very first time we met Pudding. When Pudding goes to release Luffy and Chopper from police custody for eating cake, she reveals her deceitful nature as she effortlessly lies to get them free. At the time, we were thinking it was not important because she was trying to help Luffy. Well, what do you think now? Number 11, Momonosuke, the Time Traveler. Momonosuke, Odin's son and the next ruler of Wano, was a character shrouded in some annoying controversy for some time. In passing, Momonosuke tells Luffy and the gang that he met Goldie Roger once. This immediately becomes a puzzle and leads the gang to think he was making up stories because Roger had been dead for a long time, and Momo was only 8 years old at the time. It took well over 2 years of waiting for Oda to reveal that Momo was actually not lying. Can you believe it? Momo was sent to the future by his mother, who apparently ate a devil fruit with time-traveling abilities. This begs the question, is Momo's mother still alive somewhere in the past or future? Will Oda give us a time paradox? While we wait on the answer, let's visit our next prediction, Mr. Double Agent Retainer. When the Straw Hats and Momonosuke's retainers team up, their plan is to take down Kaido and Orochi and restore the Odin lineage to the throne. However, one thing they can't seem to wrap their heads around is how their plans always seem to get leaked out to the enemy. Enter Mr. Double Agent. Kanjuro is a character that seems like an enemy hidden in plain sight. If you don't suspect him from the beginning, then maybe my observation hockey is just better than yours. Kanjuro is constantly dressed as an actor, but also shows that he's acting when he paints with his left hand, while his dominant hand is his right. These details seem useless until they don't. And if you thought Kanjuro's foreshadow was subtle, wait till you realize that the Minx Moonlight form was foreshadowed from the start of the Zou arc. Yep, you heard it right. The Duke and the Cat mentioned it enough times to make anyone ask, what's so special about the moon? I mean, Dogstorm said Jack was lucky his raid was over by the time the moon came out. The question is then, what would have happened if the moon had come out in time? As you know, they would have become their moonlight forms, and would have absolutely slayed that fight. Next up, at number 14, is Sabo's existence. By now, everyone knows that Ace wasn't Luffy's only brother. If you didn't, then you shouldn't have been watching this video anyway. But just how did Oda leak out this secret? Ace's tattoo. On Ace's arm tattoo, his name is spelt with an S crossed out. At first glance, You'd think he was dumb and didn't know how to spell, or the tattoo artist made a mistake. But come on. With Oda, nothing is ever really a mistake. Crossing out the S was probably a hint that there was a third brother whose name starts with an S, and who was believed to be dead. Number 15 blew my mind when I made the connection myself. If you're up to date with One Piece, you'd know there are 2 new emperors currently, Luffy and Buggy the Clown. However, if you look at the cover of volume 25 of the manga, you'd find a picture of these 4 characters. I don't know what more proof you need that Oda plans this stuff out long before he needs it. It's crazy. Reserved for number 16 is Doflamingo's role in the creation of artificial devil fruits, Smile. Before the time skip, Doflamingo talks to Disco over the Dendenmushi, and he mentions in passing that this is the ages of smiles. As usual, it's a harmless statement until we get post-time skip and realize Oda is actually referring to the business Doflamingo is managing for Kaido in Dressrosa and Wano. At number 17, we have to admit that Luffy basically called Brook into existence. When Kokoro tells the Straw Hats that to get to Fishman Island they would have to pass haunted ships, the first thing that should pass through anyone's mind is to be careful, but not Luffy. As soon as Luffy hears it, he states that he would like to see a skeleton that moves. Awfully specific, don't you think? Because that is exactly what happens when they meet Brook, a living skeleton. Worthy of the 18th position is the reveal of Luffy's grandfather. Oda tried to keep Luffy's family a mystery to fans because Ace was the only family we knew our happy-go-lucky Luffy had. Well, that was until Luffy met former Admiral Aokiji on Long Ring Long Land. Aokiji mentioned that Luffy reminded him of his grandfather and the debt he owed him. That grandfather was later revealed to be the prominent marine hero Monkey D. Garp. Given how important he has become to the series, it is not surprising that Oda thought to introduce him stylishly beforehand. Speaking of family, another character who was foreshadowed before his arrival is none other than Luffy's father. Till now, not much is known about Luffy's father except that he is a revolutionary and is considered to be one of the most dangerous men in the world. But how exactly was he introduced? In 2006, on a special episode, all the Straw Hats were drawn as animals. Any idea what animal Luffy was? Yep, a dragon. That had to be an allusion to his father, Monkey D. Dragon, and this happened a full year before he was revealed in the anime. Yep, Oda takes his reveals very personally. And now, to wrap up this list for today, one final foreshadow Oda threw into the mix of the anime to help us was about our main character himself, Luffy. The Skypiea arc was the first mention of the sun god Nika, the model of Luffy's devil fruit as we would later come to know. In that arc, Luffy dispels Enel's giant ball of lightning. The clouds part with him at the center while the Skypieas pray for the sun to shine. A few episodes later, when they are having their bonfire, Luffy dances around the fire, and Oda again blows our mind. The shadows cast by Luffy as he dances around the fire are simply reflections of the sun god Nika being foreshadowed against the Wano arc, which was still far, far away at the time. But now, we'd like to hear from you. Are there some notable foreshadows that you witnessed while watching the One Piece anime that are not mentioned in this list? You can name them in the comments. While you're at it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.